Hi, this is Matthew Cratter from Trader University, and today I want to talk about a couple different ways how to get rich from a financial crisis. If you're worried about this crisis, this bear market, or just want to see what I'm trading and how I'm negotiating it, be sure to hit that subscribe button. So I've been getting a lot of emails from you guys asking, what should I short? How can I profit from this? And what a lot of people don't realize is the really big money in a bear market or in a financial crisis is made on the long side. It's actually made from buying things, not from shorting things. Now, many of you may have seen Michael Burry in The Big Short. These sort of trades need to be put on. This is Michael Burry. These sort of trades need to be put on before the financial crisis hits. Once the crisis hits, everything reprices, and the sort of insurance or put options or other derivatives like the kind that Michael Burry was buying become very expensive. Now, we're going to be talking about legal, ethical ways to get rich in a financial crisis. Not talking about just hoarding things or trying to exploit people who are suffering. So the first way is, well, let me first point out. Let me first tell you guys, the reason it's too late to short things is because, one, things have become very, very volatile. So it's very difficult shorting. You have to borrow stock in order to short it. Now, you can buy put options, which a lot of people have been asking me about. But the problem is when the VIX is at 75, 76, 80, put options are very expensive. And so it becomes a much less desirable way to profit. And besides, once the market's fallen 25, 30%, you really should start thinking about the long side, because especially the U.S. markets, this is not a third world country. The stock market is not going to zero. It's not going down 80 or 90% like it did during the Great Depression. In fact, it's probably not even going down 50% because the powers that be do not want it to. So a lot of people don't realize that the real money is made on the long side. Someone who has really benefited from this over the years is Warren Buffett. A lot of people don't realize one reason he's very rich is because the companies he owns have received a lot of government bailouts. This is a dirty little secret about Mr. Buffett, starting with Salomon Brothers back in the late 80s, maybe it was early 90s. Some of the banks he owned, like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, during the great financial crisis of 2008, 2009. So one thing I've been thinking about is what industries, what stocks will benefit from a government bailout. And one way to think about this, let's just look at Carnival Cruise. This is a company that everyone understands what they do. They run cruise lines, they run cruise ships. Obviously, they've been hit really hard because no one wants to get on a floating prison, be quarantined, and be exposed to coronavirus. And so they're in a lot of trouble. The stock's gone from above $50 a share down to $12 a share. Now, if we were to short this, maybe this is going to zero. Maybe they have a lot of debt, and the revenue, no one's going to ride on a cruise ship for the next 2 years, and they just won't be able to make it. Well, if you short this stock, it's currently at $12.71, and if it goes to zero, the most you can make on your money is 100%. And there's going to be a lot of volatility along the way. It's going to be very difficult to structure, even using put options. You might have to use like a bear put spread or something like that. But let's think about it from the other side around. So if it goes down, the most you can make is 100%. If it goes back to where it was trading before this crisis, it's going to be back in the low 50s, high 40s. Let's just call it 48 to make the math really easy. You can make 4x on your money, 400% on your money. And so this is why we should be thinking from the long side. And where a lot of people make money, these kind of vulture investors, it's not a very nice name, is buying distressed stocks during a crisis. This is also how Buffett has made a lot of money. He steps in and provides funding for companies. In fact, there are quite a few rumors, I can't confirm or deny this, there are quite a few rumors that Buffett is trying to take over Boeing or trying to take a significant stake in it. These are the kind of monopoly or duopoly companies that he likes. So let's just go through some stocks that may receive a government bailout. The cruise lines, CCL, Carnival, RCL is the other one, Royal Caribbean, Boeing, obviously. The oil industry we've been talking about, XOM is ExxonMobil. I'm not a huge fan of the oil patch here, but it's definitely an area that is extremely distressed. It is of some national security interest, and so ExxonMobil, Chevron, these could be the recipients of a bailout, because for a large part, the U.S. government exists to enrich private corporations like this. Boeing's a great example of a company that was just blowing all its money, doing stock buybacks to enrich its executives during the good times, and so of course it doesn't have any cash reserves during the bad times, and now it wants a bailout. But apart from the immorality of that, there are ways to profit from this. We can buy this stock and we can participate in the bailout because, face it, it's being done with our money anyway. And then the other area would be stocks like McDonald's, Burger King, which seem to be under some financial stress. There's an article on Market Watch that I will link to that talks about these various industries, and the ones that really stand out are travel, especially the cruise lines, the airlines. I should have mentioned some of the airlines, UAL, United Airlines. Delta's another one that Buffett owns. I believe he owns Delta. I think he owns all of these, actually. And then Southwest, which is my favorite. This is a little better run company. LUV is that one. DAL is Delta. UAL is United. So these are ones to look at that at some point, unless the debt holders, the bondholders, take over these companies, unless they file for bankruptcy and there's some sort of reorganization, these are companies that are near monopolies or duopolies. So the two big cruise lines are Carnival and RCL in the U.S. Obviously, McDonald's is huge. It's not going anywhere. It's got a very strong brand, and so there's a very good chance that McDonald's is back in the 200s over the coming years. So that'd be the first way. You buy distressed companies, especially companies that are going to get free money from the government to bail out all the wealthy people who own it, people like Buffett. Now, the next way is, many of you have probably heard already, but the government is talking about sending $1,000 checks to every adult living in the U.S. I know this has already happened in Hong Kong. I believe it's happened in Australia as well. But if you're married, and I think this is just for adults, it's not for kids, as far as I can tell, you and your spouse will each get $1,000. So that's $2,000. So even if you don't have any money at all, fortunately, the government has a printing press and can just make free money out of nowhere. Now, there's never a free lunch to this. This debases the U.S. currency. It's very bad in the long term, but in the short term, who doesn't like getting free money in the mail? The problem with this is when you print new money, it devalues the money that's already in your pocket or in your bank account. So this is ultimately making everyone poorer. There is some rationale for this because the economy is completely ground to a halt. There are a lot of people who live paycheck to paycheck. And so this will definitely help people pay the rent and help them buy groceries, assuming their grocery store still has groceries in it. So what I'm going to do with my check is, and my wife's check, basically you have this problem that in an environment like this where the central bank is printing lots of money, cash is trash. Cash is being devalued very quickly. And so one way to do this is I'm going to use my $2,000 checks times 2. I'm going to buy some Bitcoin with it, which I've been talking about. You can see some of the other videos on my channel if you don't know the Bitcoin thesis. I believe this thing is going well above 100,000, probably well above 1 million, in part because of all this printing that the government is doing. So one way you can get this, one way you can use this free money and really buy yourself a good financial future, assuming you don't need it for rent or for medical care or groceries, is you invest in something like this that has some real optionality. It can only go, Bitcoin can only go to zero, which seems very unlikely. It's very robust. It's been attacked hundreds of times, and it is holding up just fine in this crisis. It's very volatile. It is risky, but this is a way of turning, let's say you buy a third of a Bitcoin with your $2,000, and this is worth $1 million in 5 or 10 years from now. You've turned that $2,000 worth of government checks into more than $300,000. So those are two obvious ways to profit from a financial crisis. If you'd like to learn more ways to do this, check out my Bear Market Trading Strategies book. It's completely free today and tomorrow, the Kindle book on Amazon. So I'll stick a link to that in the description notes below. Lots of cool trading strategies in there that you can use as well. And I talk a little bit more about how to pick stocks in that book. Please hit that subscribe button and the like button if you found this video helpful and you want to follow me in the future. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.